My narcissistic ex is the nicest person you will ever meet, as long as you don't live with him. Okay? Because the representation of him to you as acquaintance, as a friend who he just sees on the road, totally different persona. And the person that lives with him, like day after day, day in day out, you know the ins and out of him behind closed doors, totally different persona, right? Behind closed doors, that's the dragon. On the road, the nicest person you will ever meet. Okay, so was I loved bombed? Of course. Everybody was love bombed by their narcissistic ex. But the deception came first, then the love bombing. And I will say why it was deception. Even though I ignored a lot of red flags, and I can tell you my reasons why I did ignore red flags. It wasn't because of deception. I guess it was deception, deceiving myself because I wasn't deceiving anybody. Because everything I said, I was being honest and truthful about it. Okay, from everything from down to my preference to what I expected, everything was truthful on my behalf. Right? The deception was on his part. The only deception I did was deceiving myself that I believe that people could change if they saw that you were genuine and authentic, right? And they realized that they had authentic person around them that they could change. That was the only deception I did, was deceiving myself to think that. Anyways, we met on online. I think it was OK Cupid, right? I have left that thing years now. Stopped with that whole dating mess, right? I've gone, what do you call it? Anyways, don't get into much in my business. So, as I said, I laid everything down on the line. I told this guy, well, at first, I got the impression that maybe he wasn't down for doing everything that I required as a preference, right? Because at first, I got the impression that he wasn't going all in. So even though we had introduced and we did have a nice conversation, I wasn't all that interested in him. I still stayed on the app. I was speaking with other people. I was talking to other people. Eventually, he disappeared for a little while, maybe a couple of days, and I stayed on the app still. I dated. I was like, oh well, I guess I got his number. I don't remember. I didn't call him. I didn't text him. I didn't ask, hey, I saw you disappeared. What's up? I was still online searching for, I guess, Mr. Right. um, Eventually, he like came back. Must be more after 3 days or around about that time. Said that he was leaving the app because I guess he didn't find anybody who was serious, and he was serious about a relationship. And these, I guess, people on here, these girls don't know what they want, and la da 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 da. So I was saying, so if you're that serious, why have you not found anyone yet? I guess it's not him. He's not the problem. They don't know. They don't want a good man. They don't know a good man when they see one. La da 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 da. I'm like, oh, is that so? Okay. So, anyways, he tried to pursue me again. We talked. I was like, I'm not going to take you serious if you cannot state that what I have laid down as my preference, you are really serious about, because I am serious about these things, right? My preferences were, I wanted to get married, right? Whoever was interested in me had to want to be a family person and be married, right? And he had to want to be a provider. So those were my three preferences, right? So all of them came together. And I was upfront and I was honest about all of that. So if the person had any problem, all they had to do was say, that's not me. Have a nice day, sweetie. Bye. That's it. So eventually, I guess, I don't know, desperation, something set in. And then here was the deception. All right. The, I guess I had a hand to play in it because I also deceived myself because I saw red flags and I still stayed and allowed it to go where it arrived at. So I also had some hand in the deception, deceiving myself that, if I continue to be the genuine, authentic type of person that I am, being honest and forward, then people would see, okay, she's a good person. Let me stick this out. Let me just, be that good, changed person for her, right? And, meet her at whatever level she's at, right? So here was me, the optimist, the naive optimist, thinking that, okay, if he's broken, I can heal him. If he's wrong, I guess I could make him into Mr. Right. That was my error. Okay, so even though I saw the red flags, that was a problem. Convincing myself that I could could be superhuman woman and my genuine authenticness could change anybody. So his deceptive part was he started to now say that see that I was serious. I would not come off the app unless the person who was seriously interested in me could say, all right, they had no problem with my preferences. Okay? So he was pressing me, and I was like, these are my preferences. You have not expressed that you are not having a problem with any of the three, because these just three preferences, right? Nothing else. So if these preferences are blocking you, then adios, bye. Eventually, he got to the point where he said, all right, it's not a problem. Your preferences are not a problem. Yes, marriage not a problem. I want to marry. So marriage, you want to marry? Yes, I want to marry. It's not a problem. So the preference is good. Not a problem. Not a problem. Okay, I can start taking you serious now. We can start chatting. We can start getting to know each other. We'll take this serious. We'll see where it goes. Yeah, then slowly I came off the app. Okay, here's where the love bombing starts. So we were getting to know each other. Eventually, things happened really fast, right? I moved into his place. Uh, as I said, everything happened fast, and things was just rushing. I didn't even get time to really take in everything or fathom the most of the moments because things was just going so fast, right? Um, then it reached to the point where I met his family, mother's brother, so and so. And I didn't meet his father at that time. It was eventually, but I spoke with his father over the phone. His At first, his family, I felt like they they were distant. They lived there in the same house, but they were just distant. It's like they kept to themselves. it's not like, oh, I like my space, so give me my space type of vibe. It was more like we are staying far, and they had this, oh, I'm distant because I have something to hide type of energy. It was that type of energy, but I couldn't put my finger on it at first, but I picked up this type of energy. I was like, these people are so distant, and it's not their boundary or protecting. It's like they are distant because they are hiding the true them type of vibe. But I didn't want to judge, so I didn't put my finger on it, right? Discernment low at this point, right? Because even as a seer, you get dreams and you get warning about certain stuff. But if you are in the mode where you are questioning the discernment and are telling yourself, okay, I can change this person and I can show them that they are going to miss out on a good thing and da 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 da. Trust me, you see that discernment and that intuition, it's going to go silent and silent until you're just left on your own, and you look around and you're like, how did I reach in this catastrophic mess? Because when your intuition was speaking, you were second guessing, you were questioning it, and then your inner child that was warning you, oh, spirit detecting, evil spirit over there, stay far, girl. It just goes silent. In this scene, mine never really went silent because I still got dreams and warning, but I choose to tell myself that maybe I reached this far, why turn back now? Why walk away now? A whole lot of excuse and ignoring red flags just the same, right? And don't worry, I've learned my lesson, right? Never to ignore red flags again, and never to second guess myself on anything, right? And these things were experiences that taught me to really value my spiritual intel and to really listen to myself, especially what my body is picking up. Because if I had stopped saying, oh, I can change people and I am authentic and I have nothing to hide and I can be a good person and people will see that and love me for me, and the love will be the same mutual thing. If I did not deceive myself that way, I would have left and it wouldn't have gone to this level, right? I wouldn't have dropped my standards. I would have said, okay, you have deceived me, and I would have packed my things and left, right? But hey, I didn't, and this is the result, right? So I guess some accountability on my part had to be taken for that. Okay, so where was I? Yeah, so love bomb, met the family, and so on. So at this point, um, it was not all a bed of roses, right? I kept seeing worse and worse side of him, worse and worse side. Like, I mean, I realized that this person would literally go on the road and tell others negative. He would drag me out on the road, like literally tell anyone who would listen. She ain't this, she is that, she's that type of person, she's lazy, she don't want to do this, and every problem that he was facing in his life was my fault because I wasn't this and I wasn't that. But if I ever said, if I am the cause of your problems, if I am such a bad person, I will just leave and you're free to go and date whoever you want, find your perfect girlfriend or whatever you are looking for. If it ain't me, the door is there, or I can leave. Me not chain your foot. Remember, me always tell him that. Me not chain your foot, I don't chain you. He wouldn't leave, and he wouldn't tell me to leave. But get up and complain and find something to complain about. So anybody who would listen, him leave behind my back, dog me out, drag me out for filth. I ain't this, I ain't that, me need to better myself, me need for this, I ain't shit, blah 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 blah. But I remember one time I packed my things and left, and it was like he pursued me to come back. Well, he told me to come back, right? And I went back. Told me he was gonna change, things was gonna be better. Sorry for how he acted, because I felt like after a while I felt like he didn't care anymore. I felt like the attention disappeared. I felt like the the effort and the care that he put in at one point, it just dried up. And I got this cold, I don't give a shit about you anymore type of vibe from him. So I left, right? And he said, oh no, it's just a misunderstanding, I'll never make you feel unwanted or uncared for or whatever you felt like that negative. No, 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 that wasn't it, just misunderstanding. Came back, and 2 3 days into coming back, it's like I got treated worst. It was like, it was, he did not change. He just, it was the same thing happening, but he just pretended like all was good and he was understanding, until a day or two he just slithered his way back into his old self. The same things you complained about. Okay, stop doing this, it is hurting me. Stop saying that, it is hurtful. Stop doing that. Stop dragging me for filth and calling it sarcasm. I don't like that. All these little things that you were complaining about, you're not going on the road like he is doing, dragging your name with everyone who would listen. You are actually there with him, trying to reason and solve situations like healthy people do in a relationship. That's what you're doing. He, on the other hand, goes on the road, drags you for filth to anyone who would listen, and then blames you. You are this, you are that, you're cantankerous, you're da 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 da. Okay? He doesn't peacefully rectify things at home. And if he does, it is generally calculated in a way where he's trying to cult, mold you into what he wants you to be, as opposed to saying, okay, I was not the fit candidate for this relationship to begin with. I basically deceived her, and then I want her to further lower her standards so that she can stay with me. That everything, every action, every solution that he gave to make the relationship better was all about how he could lower my standards so that I would be comfortable with the bare minimum that he always intended to give, because he had no intention of bettering himself. He had no intention of healing. He had no intention of being a healthy partner in a relationship. And I say that because he always talked about his exes. He always had this, oh, my exes are the problem type of story. His exes always did him something bad. His exes are the reason why he can't trust. His exes are the reason why he is like this. His exes this, and his exes why is his mental is like the way it is. Okay? Everything that is wrong that you would find as a fault in the relationship, right? Whatever issue, the ex or AX has some form of blame or hand in why he is like that. One time I looked at him and I said, since you have so much trauma from your past relationships and your ex is this and your ex is that, why don't you go to counseling? You need some counseling. Oh, no, no, I don't need counseling. I'll sort it out on my own. I said, even if the counseling was free? No, 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 I don't want no counseling. I'll handle it all on my own. right? This is within the couple months to a year, right? I haven't even reached the year five, and I stayed with him for about 5 years or probably more. And this is within year one, couple months to year one. And this is when I said all of these things. And his response, I'll sort it out on my own. I don't need the counseling. I'm not going. I'll handle it myself. That is what he said. So 1 year turned into 5 years, and he got worse. Anyways, within this time, eventually, I think within the 2 years slot, we had a child. We were expecting a child now. Okay. During all this time, we have not sat down and officially said, okay, when are we going to start this wedding thing? Because, we've been together for a while. We've been living together for a while. When are we going to start these wedding plans and get this officially done? Because that was a preference of mine, remember? Yeah. Anyways, I got pregnant and I realized, pregnancy, work, everything just dragged out. Depression, because at one moment I was like questioning a lot of things, because spirit is hitting me. I feel like I could grow, I could expand, but I feel like I was stuck, right? At 4 months pregnancy. Like, yeah, depression and all these things. And even I spoke to the clinic, or the doctor. They even did write me up one time to go speak to a counselor about depression and so on. So yes, even going through the pregnancy did take a toll on me because of a lot of things in the relationship. Um, there was a lot of stuff he did that I didn't understand until after I left the relationship. That's how I realized how cruel this person really was. Like, literally sleeping with the enemy all this time, and telling myself, oh, if I continue being the authentic me, if I continue to love, just like the word says, if you love your neighbor, do unto your neighbor, and your neighbor will love you with the same measure. I didn't get back that type of love. If anything, I got fake love, I got fake reaction, I got a fake reality. I was sold a fantasy, right? So he repeatedly tried to tell me that, whatever I was looking for, I wanted to live a fantasy, and that I should wake up and face reality, that can never happen. So basically, he was confessing without confessing, like straightforward, to say, You're not gonna get that whole marriage and whatever preference that you wanted, that I said I was cool with, because it's all a fantasy. You need to wake up to reality. Who at this point, I got pregnant and our child was born. Our child is like probably a couple months old or so, or about into a year. As a matter of fact, 2 months or so after the child is born, this guy is going to look at me and say, oh, I think I don't bother want the whole marriage thing again. Looking and seeing how the whole divorce do my mother and my father. I think I want the whole marriage thing. The impression I got when he said that, I was like, for real, bruh? Like, you set me up, but I still felt stuck, because now a child is born and now I'm living with this dude. So it was bad, but I was still like, okay, still hopeful that, maybe, just maybe, he would change his mind. Maybe if I I was telling myself a whole lot of um, excuses, dumb shit. That's exactly what it was, dumb shit, because it was bad. But I guess to be optimistic about the whole situation, I told myself dumb shit. I convinced myself that, there's still hope. He could still change. Remember that good person that I remember him as in the beginning. I am sure that person can come back. I'm sure all of these problems can be sorted out, and maybe if we didn't have such financial situations as he said, maybe things would be better and he would treat me better. No, because even when there were times when money was flowing and people were baroking us because he had a child, because a child had come into the relationship, even then he still found something to complain about. He still found ways to bring chaos into the relationship, to make me fret, to make me feel less than, to make me feel unworthy of him trying to do better, you know, unworthy of asking for anything more, to the point where I was like, am I just to do everything um, by myself? Not really everything as in provide, because all right, the thing with providing with a narcissist, that they can provide while still being financially abusive, and people don't really understand that you can be providing in a relationship and still be financially abusive. Okay, you can be providing and still doing all top types of other abuse. So not because somebody says, oh, I'm a good dad because I'm providing and I'm be sending that paycheck every month and I be paying the bills, that does not mean that the person um, cannot be guilty of financial abuse. It is harder to prove than all the other abuses, but they can still be financially abusive, and they are. All right. So, because seriously, if a person tells you that they want a provider, and the requirement, the prerequisite for to have them in a relationship is that they need to tell you, they need to agree that this is something that they are comfortable with. This is something that they we will say, yes, it is not a problem, right? If this is the only boundary that will keep me from being in a relationship with you, and I want to be in a relationship with you, I am saying this is not a problem, right? Especially when you come face to face with someone like that, and then you say it is not a problem, and then later on you make all of this person's preferences a big major problem, and try to shame them and bring them down for it, when at the end of the day you know that it is you who they drop their standards to be with, because at the end of the day, as I said, it was deception, because he knew from day one, from the get-go, that he would not give me any of that. He knew, and then he knew that he did not meet the expectation. So instead of saying, um I tricked you. I knew full well that this was a doomed relationship from the start, because I did not intend to do what I said I would do on my part for you based on your preferences. Instead of saying that, he went and he dragged me for filth, and he tell everybody I ain't shit. I don't want to this. I am lazy. I don't want to that. Innocent won't take me up for da 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 da. I want to live a fantasy life. This is what he signed up for before he said he wanted a relationship. Remember, he's the one that came to look me. I was the one that was holding out. I was saying, you look like you are not serious. He was the one who insisted, yes, none of this is a problem. All of my preferences was a major problem. So much of a problem that was all he went out on the road to do. Complain about me to others. Complain about me. I was the problem. I was always the problem. And the same thing that I had as a preference, that he said it is not a problem to get me for, was the same thing that made me leave in the end, because it got to the point where he wanted to change me so much, to drop my standards so much more lower than it had already gone. Because at this point I realized that I was tricked, and in some way I fell into a trap. I was trapped because, as I said, at this point there is a child, like couple months old, 2 months old at least. Then he wants to drop this bombshell. Oh, I don't think marriage thing. Tell me that wasn't a trap. And then it was calculated, because he knew that, the preference and what he was signing up for. So to come now and say that he didn't want to marry again because of whatever. Listen me, his parents divorced long before me and him met, right? So that should tell you that it was a trap. He was well aware that all of this was a trap, a love bombing trap to trap me somehow, right? And no one can tell me otherwise. So throughout all this time, right, he is painting a perception about me which was false to people around him, right? His family, his friends, acquaintances, whoever would listen to his narrative about me, right? Knowing fully well that he is the one that got himself in this situation and got me in this situation. Because if he was honest from the start, hey, I have no intention of marriage with you. I have no intention of all of these things, which I didn't get, right? Because even the providing, it was just temporary during the love bombing phase. The providing, not not temporary, but it was it was temporary, meaning that it went on without complaint until he was trying to change me into something else. Then the complaints start, and the financial abuse start, and the neglect start, where most of the times he would either be pinching the money or find excuse to not do what he used to do so he could spend the money on something else, right? Like most of the time there was something that I would want to do, and I would say, Loan me a money to go buy, do this or do that. But you need the money for go do. All right. Sometimes you don't want to say your plans, right? And because I didn't say what I wanted it to do, he didn't give it to me, right? There was times when he said, right, he's low on cash, but you would see him like couple days after, 2 3 days after, you would see him coming from ship me with a package. He bought himself a new gaming hand controller to go sit and play video games with. And a couple days before, he was telling you that money tight. You feel me? So a lot of these things, and much more things too, right? There's so much things that you're not going to lay it down all on the line. But there was so much financial abuse. And even if he told people, okay, all right, she never want this, and listen me, I was working when I was with him, probably not all the time, not from the start, but eventually I did find a work, right? And then I started working online. So the times when I was even financially reliant on him, it was not always fully 100%, because as I said, there would always be times and instances where even when he will be baroqued with a money, like somebody would some baruka would come from somewhere. Somebody would have give him something, because all right, oh, me see your family here, that or a family member would give him something and I would know about it, and he would still complain and act as if they still and nothing now go on, and funds just a dry, but yet he would still find money to buy a new shoes. He would still find money to buy a gaming console. He would still find money to buy a head um ear muffs thingy to play with his gaming console. You know, even when this financial thing that he was complaining about, he was carrying on as if, oh, I'm gonna die. He still found a way to spare no expense to get himself what he wanted. You feel me? And he would often take credit for stuff I would do. I remember one time we went shopping and I told him, buy some bathing soap to put in the bathroom. He said, no, I'm not gonna buy no bathing soap. And he didn't, right? So I went over to my house and I got some soap and I carried it over back to over his house. And he got a call like days after the fact. Someone asked him, do you have bathing soap in the bathroom? Because they were going to buy some stuff for the house. He said, yes. Soap in there because I bought soap. And this was taking credit for something I did because remember, couple weeks before we were in town, I told him to buy soap and he did not. I carried soap from my house and put in the bathroom cupboard. And he told the person on the phone he bought soap and put in the cupboard. Took credit for something I did. And this was not the first and this was not the only time this person had known that I did something, that he did not do something, and he took credit for it because it would give him a good name. It would give him a good name because at the end of the day, remember, he's painting this impression that I am this type of person, I ain't shit, I'm lazy, I don't do nothing good, I don't help out, I don't this. So of course he's going to take credit for stuff I did. So he would often, especially after I moved out. Oh, I remember one time this brother, he's so good at faking, people would not even believe a lot of these stuff because trust me, they only have good memories of him, good experiences. So if all of these things that I am saying, they would be like, not him. He is always such a nice person. Yes, he's a nice person because you never lived with him. He was always a nice person because you never lived with him. Okay? Don't tell me that he's a nice person because I have lived with him. And those who live with him and don't want to tell you that he is a dragon is because they are flying monkeys. They, for whatever the reason, have benefited from him being around them. They have benefited in his toxic cycle, abusive cycle to others, that they will defend him. And I've seen them in action. They always defend him. His mother always back him. He's never wrong. None of her children are ever wrong in her eyes. You, all of the girlfriends in her son's lives are always the problem. Never her sons, right? And the fathers defend him. They all defend each other. Every outsider is the problem except the sons and their children. They defend and they back each other, and they will try to spring you to coming back. Like, I don't know what the deal is, but they always try to fish you to come back because for whatever reason they slander you and they drag you for filth behind your back and try to change you into what you're not. But at the end of the day, once you leave, they're springing into action trying to get you to come back. Get you to come back. And it's a real thing, right? And they especially the narcissists, it's like they lose their mind when they say you're not coming back. They will desperately do some things to sabotage you to try and come back in their life. If they have to work witchcraft, that's why I said, I believe that bro will work witchcraft, and I know why I said what I said because I have info on him. So I know that nobody can tell me them are gonna sue me for lying on them, because I know what I know spiritually, that he's working witchcraft. Anyways, they would try their best. They would even try sabotage your finances, because more than a lot of times he tried to financially sabotage me, right? Either by trying to turn support systems against me, right? He would tell anybody who he knows is supporting me, he would tell them lies, try to turn them against me, to cut off whatever support I would have, because he wants to see me run back to him so that he could have control over me. And then he would still go back on the road and tell people, I am not this, I am not that, but she keep coming back, he wouldn't tell them that, say, I'm here chase after her and I tell her to come back, I'm here tell her say I want my family, I'm here tell her say I miss. He's not going to say that. He might go say, I'm me I run him down. At that him I go say, I'm me I run him down. At that him I go say, that's what they're gonna say, because them often make this villain persona of you that they are trying to sell look like it is the real thing, and they are the real thing, but they are not the real thing. That's this is that. No. Okay, they are not the real thing. Okay. Yeah, so I remember he would do something. Yeah, people are gonna say, oh, but didn't he put you up one time? You stayed at his house. Wasn't that? Yeah, I know he would tell people that, and then say, oh, because I did this for her, I'm a good person. See. But let me tell you this: a lot of times he was the one that caused a lot of the chaos that caused me to had to um end up in whatever situation I was in, right? Because when I was going through the court issue with my so-called sister, he was behind all the smear campaigns with her, because one time she was saying some mean stuff and then she said out of her mouth, that's why your ex say it look like I wrong sister him there with, because you is a this and you is a bum and you is a da 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 da. And I called him up and I said, my so-called sister said you said XYZ LMNOP about me behind my back. And he did not say, oh no, I never said that. No, I did not say it. He went quiet. And he was like, yeah, silence is consent. So legit, the persons that hated me, he was behind all of these smear campaigns to backing them, hearing what they had to say and not saying, oh, that's my ex, don't speak negative about her, because he is also there speaking negative about me, bringing me down, trying to sabotage me, and attacking my character and my reputation, right? The same people that he sees hate me, he was bench and butty with them, talking negative about me too, and then come forward in the forefront acting as if, oh, I'm so nice, I gave her a place to stay, and yes, but behind closed doors he sit down with my enemy and speak bad about me. That, what does that make you? An enemy of mine. You're not saying it, but you are, because your actions speak louder than your words. So yeah, so even the chaos with even the homelessness, that even though he can say, oh, I gave her a place to stay, you was behind that too, because you was backing the persons who caused that homelessness situation to begin with. So you are the cause of it. So the solution that you provided was because you was the cause of the problem. And then people don't realize it. Even the finance thing with I owe the school some money, right? And he is also the cause of that problem too. And then he come and he set up these teachers to watch me, to make it seem as if I am getting the money to pay it, and then I'm spending it off, and then I am not doing what I should do. Then he tell them to give him a report at the end of the term how much the funds was accumulated to. He never planned to pay anything, he never planned to say, all right, I'm going to help you. I'm going to find out why she's not paying it. I'm going to find out why is it like this. He told them to give him a report. At the end of it all, he called me and said, the school say you owe X amount of money. When you are going to pay it, you better go find the money. And I'm like, so why did they call you and tell you this information? Because I was planning to pay it, but just on my own time. Why did they call? Oh, the teacher, the principal called me personally and tell me, say, you said that, no, the teacher called me personally and said, you owe money. Oh, you owe money. Oh, you owe money. And I was like, bruh, you know XYZ element of P or the thing go, right? And I was explaining some stuff to him, but because he don't want to hear that, right? I don't know if he was recording me or so, because most of the time I feel like he's recording me. He didn't want to hear that. So he hang up the phone and said, "Me not deal." All right. Him say, "Not deal with me again," and him hang up the phone. That's when it reached the point where I said I blocked him and I didn't talk to him after. So he sat down, knew that I was not paying the money, right? And instead of asking me why it not paid, he tell the teacher to give him a report at the end of it. How much is the total? Just so him could have come and tell me, say, you not pay it. You figure pay it. Knowing say him not come for help and do nothing. So why you tell them to give you a report if you ain't gonna pay the money in the first place? And then him go around and him slander me to everybody, tell everybody say me owe school fee and me not pay a school fee. I was gonna pay it, I was going to pay it. I was paying it off. And then when I do get the last money from him and paid something, right? Him come and him take the child and still tell people say, me can't pay my rent and me can't do this and me can't do that and um me not me broke and me blah 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 blah, because he realized that I had to only make one more payment to pay off the school fee, and if I did that, then it would have looked like, say, what he's saying about me is a lie, which it is. It is. It's a lie from the pits of hell, right? So if he had allowed the child to finish out the school before the summer, I would have paid more money on the school fee. And he knew that his cover would have blown. His cover was being blown, and he couldn't allow it to end like that. So in desperate times for him, in his lies and deceit turned to desperate measures. So he had to up the sabotage antics. He had to up the smear campaign antics. He had to up the young stalking antics, because tell me why you have these people walking around, right, giving you report about issues or things that I am doing when you have no intention to help. You have no intention to sort it out. You have no intention to support me, to say, okay, this is what is happening. Let me help you rectify this. And clearly, it was not his problem, because at the end of the day, it's not like I told him about it and said, you are to pay it. I told him I'm going to sort it out. I am going to sort it out. That is what I told him. Right? He's calling me to tell me to sort out something that I didn't even tell him about. It is him that told them to inform him about it. So he sat there knowing that the money was going up, and then he called a couple months before that saying, I just feel like for send you less money for the child for the month. I go send you a fraction of what I usually send you. And I said, but that's not fair, because I am here 24/7, 365, doing what I do for the child. So what? I feel like what me I do is enough. Me I send the fixed amount of money per month, that is enough. Then I need to do nothing more. So I'm like, but that's stupid because I am not turning off or clocking off or making a tally of whatever my contribution is towards the child. I just give. You feel me? I might cannot send an invoice every month, but I am freaking there and it is shown, right? So what's your reason why you don't want to send the regular amount you normally send? Why you want to send less? Oh, no reason. I just feel like sending less. So he was there planning the sabotage calculatedly, knowing that because he got the report that I hold school fee expenses, he starts sending less money so that I wouldn't have enough money to start pay off back the school fee. All of these sabotage and calculated mess, and then he go and tell people, oh, you see it, she lazy. Oh, you see it, she incompetent. Oh, you see it, me tell you, look, there, see it, me did right. So me tell you, so she did incompetent. So me tell you, so she did XYZ. Yes, because he sit down and he calculate how this can work in his favor to sabotage me every step of the way. But I don't say anything to anybody and I don't defend myself. You know why? Because I know that at the end of the day, truth always comes to the light. And I don't defend myself because one, I want to see who will fall for his lies. Who will come and me ear say and then cut me off because of that. And they didn't ask me how it go, or you didn't ask my side of the story, so you could make an informed good judgment of the situation, because you cannot make a judgment on a one-sided story, right? You have to get both sides of the story, then you come to a judgment, right? Isn't what a judge system should do? Yeah, but a bias system is going to hear one side of the story and then say, oh yeah man, I fear a fault, because that's what they want to believe. So I do not correct them. I let them believe what they want to believe. Okay? So when I see them start moving some type of way, I was like, okay, another set of people that I need to cut off, because wherever I am going, they can't come with me. And I feel no type of way about that, right? I want to know who is genuine, who is with me from now. So that when I kick some liar and some perpetrators and some evil out of my life, like what I did to this narcissist, then it's easy to spot who to kick out after behind him as well. Easy, right? So I don't correct them, and I never will. I just sit and watch their behavior, and I watch their action, and I watch who they side with, and I watch what they are saying about me, and I just say, oh, okay, next person to cut off and X them out of my life, just like this narcissist. And the thing is, there were some people who actually saw him for who he actually is, and they looked at me, because there were one or two people who actually look at me as a girl. The moment I look at that boy, I see jealousy. I see a spirit of jealousy on him. I did not tell them anything. They just looked at me. All I said was, okay, I am having a bit of problem with the child of my father. The child of my father. Um, the dad of my child. And they just looked at me and said, oh, okay, I can imagine, because the moment I look at him, I see the spirit of jealousy. Just like that. I didn't even tell them anything. I didn't tell them he's this or that. I didn't have to. They just have the discernment to just look at him and say, okay, I see that jealousy spirit. So, yeah, and he's jealous for real. Listen me, couple months after the child born. Did I say this? I'm going to say it just in case. He looked at me and said, I am giving the child too much information. I am forgetting about him. And he started to come across as this jealous type of person. Like, why are you insinuating that I am spending more time with the child? I may spend time with you. I am breastfeeding. I am bonding with the child. The child is a couple months old. How you gonna say, yeah, spend more time with the child, yeah, forget about me? That's jealousy spirit. How you ever jealous of your own child? The attention where the mother of the child that you and the mother share. How you ever get jealous of your own child? Because the mother is actually doing her job, nurturing. You feel me? And then people would sit and defend him. Oh no, no, he's the nicest person yes, he's the nicest person you will ever meet. As long as you don't live with him, honey. Don't ever live with him.